Welcome to Trek Table, your live stream ritual.
Holding check space for
Black, Indigenous, Brown, women of color.
Queer or otherwise.
and our allies.
Hey, welcome to the Trek Table, your Friday weekly podcast holding Trek space for Black, Indigenous, Brown, women of color, queer or otherwise, and our allies. We're here as part of our new partnership with the Geekish Network. We're so glad to be here. What's up? I'm your host, Dayla, and today I am holding Trek space for all the leaders who are trying to make it happen and hold it together.
Hi, I'm your co-host Maya Mama, and I'm holding Trek Space for figuring out what you want.
I am Claudia Alec, your co-host Claudia, and I am holding Trek Space for Found Family.
Well, welcome to the Trek Table. We start with acknowledging that our teams for Trek Table are on the unceded lands of the Tongva, Chumash, Quiche, Ohlone, Puyallup, Pawtucket, and Massachusetts peoples. We are grateful to the Indigenous stewards of these lands, the ancestors who have come before, those who are here now, and those who have yet to come. I invite our listeners and viewers to be an acknowledgement of these lands that you are on. And let's take a breath to just seal that in. In and out.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maya Mama. I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us today. What's up to our friends in the chat? Hey, great to see folks back today. Super excited for you to join us here as we hold Trek space for women of color in front of our live digital audience here on the partner platform, Geekish Network. Or maybe you're going to catch this on the rebroadcast on the Trek Table, on our YouTube channel, or maybe on our podcast.
All of our music for the Trek Table is lovingly supported by our favorite Chicanx rock band Quetzal. Follow them at Quetzal Music on Instagram and see our show notes or the chat for a link to their merchandise and more.
We want to welcome everybody to episode 48 of the Trek Table. Thanks for showing up for this conversation with women of color as we dive headfirst deep into this doubleheader of a season premiere, right? Final season. We're going to be talking about episodes 501 and 502. You might know them as the Red Directive or Under the Twin Moons. So if you're looking to have an unspoiled disco experience, we want to invite you to come back after you've watched the episodes because the spoiler zone is in full effect. We will be talking spoilers. So respect your process. We love on you, but we're about to say a lot of things.
We are so glad that you're joining this Black, Indigenous, women of color Trek conversation. Hello and welcome. So that we can build with each other, we would love to hear from you. How do you enter this conversation as a Star Trek fan? Are you Star Trek curious? Are you a newbie, an OG Trekkie? Are you part of a Star Trekking family? Are you a Star Trek fam, a Trek zaddy, a Trek baby? Let us know in the chat.
And Rodney, this is one of those loving times you get to play our first video. Ooh, exciting as we start things new and uncharted. We're getting ready to talk about today's show, this week's show. Amazing. On today's episode, Trek Table episode 48, Star Trek Discovery season 5 opener. Tonight, we're going to dive deep into these two episodes. Red Directive, written by Michelle Paradise and directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi. And episode 502, Under the Twin Moons, written by Alan McElroy and directed by Doug Aronofsky. Yes?
Ooh,
awesome. Yes, all the words back in my mouth. We will explore these two episodes today in a couple of different ways. in a very Trek table kind of way, we are going to play popcorn recap. It's our version of how to do an episode recap. So folks want to relive those plots, get some clarifying info in. We're going to play that. Claudia's here to ask us some Trek table questions. Maya Mama's going to take us through all the alls and disco design as we think about all the different design things we saw in both those shows. And then we'll round that bend with thematics as an opportunity for us to kind of wind it all together. And then we'll offer our signal boost, which is something very Trek table, our final thoughts and gratitude. So we definitely want to welcome everybody assembled here in the Geekish Network chat and to our Trek table assembled. Before we got to hear the intro to this segment, Claudia asked folks to think about how do you identify as a Star Trek fan? So if you have, we put it in the chat. We'd love you to engage with us. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves so you all know kind of where we, how we enter this conversation, right? So we want to ask folks to check in, tell us your name, pronouns, your access check-in, and how you identify as a Star Trek fan. Maya Mama, can I ask you to go first?
Thank you. Well, I am Maya Mama. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a youngish looking mid-40s Black woman. I'm wearing a TOS era red shirt type of uniform, simple makeup, shiny lip. My background is a corridor on the USS Discovery. I'm from a generational Trek family, and I identify as non-hierarchical omni sci-fi.
Okay,
Very fancy.
non-hierarchical. Yes, yes. I
Mhm.
appreciate the non-hierarchicalness of it all. So
Mhm.
thank you. Welcome, Maya Mama. I'm super excited to welcome to the Geekish Network Claudia, who is here to talk with us. Claudia, hi, welcome. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and share your check-in?
Sure. I'm Claudia, pronouns they, theirs, but you can also use she, her. Got a very femme presentation. My visual description is I'm an African American woman wearing a Star Trek t-shirt that says Star Trek across the top. I am coming from a Star Trekking family, and also I have got a background that is the original set. So I think that I'm where Spock normally is, and I identify as poly sci-fi fantasy. How about you, Dayla?
Thank you so much, Claudia. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dayla. My pronouns are she, he, they, or Dayla. I am today wearing, I don't know if you could see it. I'm wearing, I'll find a way to stand up, but I am a Filipinx person with short black hair. Sometimes I have blue hair on the show, but today I'm in my black hair. And I'm wearing a t-shirt with a Cleveland Booker, a beautiful black man holding his cat, his queen, Grudge. I am also sitting in front of a sunset filled sky promo image from Paramount for this season of Discovery. And I am, so those are my access needs. I'll probably be drinking water during the show. I am a minutia loving Star Trek head. Like I find that sometimes I love all the big thematic pieces, but then sometimes I get caught up in the minutia. And I would definitely identify as sci-fi poly. And on Geekish Network, I've started to identify as bi-celestial. I am both a Star Trek and a Star Wars fan. So I find it helpful because Geekish also has a Star Wars show. So being bi-celestial, but honestly, for sure, like 100, like Star Trek Discovery is my favorite Star Trek show. It is my
Mm.
favorite Star Trek and science fiction relationship. Like I love a lot of things, but I just, whew, the world is nice right now because Michael Burnham is back in our universes. So
That's
yes, so
beautiful.
that's
That
where
is.
the show came. That's where the show comes from. So I will just be upfront with my bias. But yeah, super here for all the dialogue.
And to that, I must say, Uh, As we continue to move here at Geekish Network, we are excited to welcome other geeks from, or that we know here from Geekish or from Trek Table, as well as some new friends. Do you love disco? Follow us and let us know at Trek Table on Instagram.
Final business before we jump into our discussions, we want to name the Trek Table Agreements. Welcome, 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 all who enter, whether you are a newbie or raised in a Star Trek loving family. Welcome. Let's build this space together.
Whether you use Trek Table as your nerdy exploration or as part of your self-care ritual, Trek Table is a weekly space to put down the world for a second and come into Trek space.
Yes, yes. This is a space for Black, Brown, Indigenous, femmes of color, queers of color to be a fan, a geek, a nerd, and explore the vastness of the Star Trek multiverse.
Trek Table is also a place for allies to come, engage, and explore as well. This is an opportunity for allies to hold space and focus on insights, perspectives, and experiences that we may not be familiar with.
And now that we are all here, we remind you that we seek to build an environment of mutual respect and listening. We understand we're going to disagree, and that's actually part of the fun, but there's enough conflict going on in the world, and we don't need it here. So keep your phasers on stun.
Great. So let's go ahead and breathe in those agreements. Take a breath in and exhale.
Okay. And now we are going to get into our first Trek Table question posed to our Trek Table assembled here and to those participating in our Trek Table YouTube channel chat. So here's the question. What do the Kardashians,
Mira que regresa el maldito.
and the Ferengi, and the Krill all have in common? That's a good music playing.
De piedra que no quiere
Here, let's read
arrojar.
it. I wasn't paying attention. Hey, so I was in the middle of asking you the question, what do the Cardassians, the Romulans, the humans, and the Klingons, and the Vulcans, and the Bajorans, and the Ferengi, and the Trill all have in common?
And
love
it, oh, Claudia, well, what is your opinion? Would you like me to go first? Because I
Well, I
can
would
go.
love for you to go first. Please go
All
right
right,
ahead.
spirit
Yeah.
fingers. That's what all of these races, these species have in common.
They all have spirit fingers.
Spirit
They all do
fingers.
this. They all do. They all
They
have spirit
can.
fingers.
I'm not
They
saying
all
they all
can
do. They
have
can, though.
spirit
It's
fingers.
something that we all have. Yeah, right?
Interesting, interesting. I was going to say that they all have delicious beverages. Here's the one thing.
Ooh.
We actually haven't found out about Trill snacks, but I feel like in episode 3, we're going to find out what are the specific delicious beverages of their people. But we do know that the Bajorans, they've got some really good Hasperat. The humans, they can make some really good dishes. So I think that what all of these species have in common is delicious foods. How about you, Dela? What's your answer to this question?
Before doing additional research for this episode, I would have said they are all part of the original Star Trek community that I met through Star Trek Next Generation. Every
I like
single
that. Yes.
every single one of these
Yes.
species communities were a part of Next Generation, and so it's just been it's been so interesting to watch the this core community of groups that I met as a teenager and started to really understand as an adult. And then for me it's like I met them through the Starship Enterprise. I met them through Picard and everybody, so
I love that. But spoiler alert, it's their DNA, y'all. Spoiler alert, it's the progenitors.
But
Mhm.
The
real quick,
answer is what? Really
I
quickly.
changed my mind. It's actually dumplings.
It's dumplings. If you do look at Trill dumplings, you got to check them out. Trill dumplings. All right. And
So
that was our Trek Table question number 1.
Yes. All right. And here we go with our next segment. Rodney, take it away. And with that song Matanzas by Quetzal, we know that it's time for Disco Recap. Now, really, the game is very simple. We collectively have 1.5 minutes to be able to tell chunklets of plot along these major storylines for this week's episode. And since there's 2 episodes this week, we're going to do 2 rounds. And this first round, we are going to get ready to recap in a very Trek Table kind of way what happened on episode 501, Red Directive. Trek Table, get ready, take a breath, and Rodney, if you could help keep time for us. Everybody take a breath. Go.
Michael is in a warp bubble and it's exciting. Flashback to 4 hours before. You know, time has passed because her braids are longer.
Star Trek, they're having some kind of a Star Trek holiday party, and we find out that Stamets, he's so sad because there's no more sport drive, and his hubby, Culber, is giving him emotional support because you know how Culber is. And then Tilly, she still be teaching. And Gray's over on Trill, but Adira's cool with it, right? Because Adira is finding themselves. But Michael has not spoken to Book in a while, and it's weird. Like, Tilly's like, it's fine, but I don't know about that. And Saru and Trina are in love. They are so in love. And he's been invited to become an ambassador.
Yes, yes. And Kovich and Space Daddy Admiral Vance with his great, yes, they're giving Michael an infinity symbol and a red directive in a room that looks like the Matrix.
And then we meet Maul and Locke, and they are stealing stuff from an 800-year-old Romulan ship.
And they're kissing. Kovich gives a kill order. So Michael and Reese and Awosa are going to have to go to secure that Romulan ship by any means necessary.
And then Maul and Locke, they blow a hole in the side of the ship, and then Michael falls in. Oh no, but wasn't it great that Disco has now these helmets that like suddenly become helmets? And so she falls through space and then lands back on the back of their ship. And Captain Raynor of the USS Antares shows up with a tractor beam, and he's trying to help, and she says leave, and he says no, and then he doesn't leave until the very last minute.
And then Maul and Locke escape, and then Michael needs to bring Book in, and Book suggests that they find a broker named Fred on the planet Dune. I mean,
okay,
come out. Come out.
Time.
Wait, no. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Well, I don't care that we're out of time. You need to know what the plot was. Michael needs more intro because Kovich hasn't given up any of those details. So Saru suggests that she reaches out to somebody who's not on the ship. So she's like, oh, I'll give my girl Tilly a call. And Tilly, she's a little drunk and she's flirting with this really cute boy named Lieutenant Jax.
And then Maul and Locke, they meet Fred, who's kind of like Data 3.5. I don't know. He's able to unlock the puzzle box and then translate the book and he translates the book. He wants to try to keep it. They fight. And then Fred is left very, very broken.
And Tilly successfully gets the information with the help of Admiral Daddy Vance. And then they break the shifting fractal encryption like this.
And Stamets has to use his secret stash of wires to fix Fred so they can scan his memory. He saved them from the past.
Meanwhile, back on the planet Dune, Michael and Book and Raynor, it's not actually called Dune, they're on like, instead of snowmobiles, like dirt mobiles, and they have this bike race after Maul and Locke on the sandy planet.
Oh yeah, and then Captain Raynor proposes an unorthodox plan to detonate the charges, so that Maul and Locke will set. But then Burnham warns that this is a bad idea and that it can cause an avalanche. And then Maul and Locke are like, actually, that's a great idea. And then they start an avalanche.
And Antares, that's the other ship, and Discovery, they have to land. They have to crash land their ships to protect the town from the avalanche.
For sure. Then after it's all over, Saru beams back into a quiet moment with Trina at a window, and they realize, you know, when I'm in danger, I think about you, and I think about you, and I got to think about you. So, hey, I really want to think about you. And Trina says, well, do we want to codify thinking about each other? And he says, are you asking me to marry you?
And then Michael gets Kovich to reveal the details of the season mystery, the progenitors from the Next Generation episode, The Chase.
Boom, boom, boom. And then I thought we were done, but then they were like, that's not enough. We're going to give you an episode 2 right now, right this second. So much Discovery.
It's true.
For sure.
All right.
All right,
jump into it.
Okay, hold on just a second. We like a breath. So, friends in the chat, I see that Paul Wright is like, did not catch the detail on the braids. So audience is appreciating some of these specific ways that we're telling the story as we know. All right, so everybody take a breath. We're about, that was episode 1. We know you saw that. Go ahead, take a breath.
Okay. Rainer's on trial for giving Maul and Lack the idea to blow up stuff. I think they came up with that idea on their own, and Star Trek be tripping. But he's a wild candidate. He doesn't play by the rules or do polite politics, so he gets in trouble.
Discovery arrives at Valine, an M-class planet dotted with necropolises and other sacred sites left by the warlike and long extinct Promelians, as introduced in TNG Booby Trap.
Lots of callbacks. Michael and
Mhm.
Saru have to beam in far away and walk there to avoid booby traps.
And then Adira and Tilly are on the ship and they have to figure out a way for them to beat the booby traps so they don't get all blowed up.
And in the future, you can just show up as a hologram in any room because you have like security clearance. And Raynor shows
Yeah.
up and tries to help Tilly and Adira, gives them great advice, and he suggests how they can use appropriate historical knowledge instead of just leaping to straight to the end to like these high end theoretical physics.
Very true. And then Action, Saru, and Michael beat the traps. They solve the puzzle and they find the clue from a poem. They need to go to Trill.
Meanwhile, Book has been working with Culber and Stamets to find Maul and Lack on the dark comms, and they totally get them to have a holo conversation because everybody's holograms. And then Maul is like, "What? Your name is Buck?"
And then we realize Book tells us that Maul is actually Malene Revell, the daughter of his famous mentor, the previous Cleveland Booker IV. He had never met Malene, but he'd seen a picture, a hologram actually of her for decades. And he realized that she is the closest thing that he has to family right now.
So dumb. Sorry. Saru says goodbye, and Burnham promises that his special greenhouse quarters will remain a Kelpian arboretum, which is awesome.
Aww.
For
So
sure.
sweet.
Awesome. And look at us. We have recapped both episodes of Star
That
Trek
was not a
Discovery.
minute and a half.
That was not.
No, probably not.
We used to do 2.5 minutes. I'm curious, YouTube chat fam. What do you think about that? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to try to get it, but there's so many things, right?
So much that happens. Hey,
Mhm.
if you are enjoying Trek Table here on Geekish Network, why not hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube? Ring that bell and receive notifications on new Trek Table content.
Mhm.
And then
And that was Disco Recap. And here we go into our next segment. Rodney, take it away.
hello and welcome to Discovery Design, Disco Design, where we've seen some beautiful and amazing design elements in this episode of Discovery. So let's dish. So I must say, I'm always a fan of the bar. The bars look comfortable and they look like a place I would want to hang out, and there's space and the windows, and it's awesome
And
and it's
that blue
beautiful.
drink looks so yummy.
It did until somebody put their fingers in it, and then I didn't want it as much. But it was beautiful. It reminded me of one of those galaxy cakes and tasted like Jum Jum.
Num num num.
Oh, and Fred, who is he's the data you have at home. You know, when you're like, Mom, can we have data?
Discount. I like the discount data. No, I get
I
it.
like
She's
them
like,
too.
we can't afford the brand new
We
data.
have
I
data
can
at
get you
home.
a Fred. I can get you a Fred. If you save up your money, you can get a Fred. I like discount data. I love it. Maul and Locke's space elements were super hot. Like, did you see their helmets where they had like little like racing like arrows on them? They were super cute. They're like fashion criminals. I see them. They're cute. I'm here for it. I don't think they're bad guys. I think they just know what they want.
I think they're just really adventurous. Now, one thing I kept thinking about that all white, the Infinity Room.
Yes.
And it made me think of the all white room from
Matrix.
no, actually from Captain Marvel, where the Supreme Intelligence is. Because I'm like, whoa, is Kovic a Supreme Intelligence now? I don't like that. And also there's this whole mysterious alien species that we don't even know. We don't know what Locke is. He might be a mix. He might be like doll and might be someone who was created in a lab, or he might be from just far away or another, anything. He could be from another dimension.
For sure.
Dayla, what were some design elements that really spoke to you for this episode?
Yeah, I want to say all the things that you all are saying. Definitely like seeing the bar when we were in the bar. What I noticed is that the person who brought the blue drink, I thought that they were wearing the Discovery season 1 era uniform, and then we realized like they're celebrating the millennia of the Federation, so it's like all the different uniforms that we've seen over the years, or even over Discovery, and so that was a really cool moment. A lot of what we've been talking about, just all these moments. I love how every season Discovery updates the title sequence and the opener, and so we get pieces that are left from like the original season 1 of Discovery back, 930 years ago, and then we also get the new elements, that like the infinity plastic thing with the silver ball that Burnham gets handed. So like there's all kinds of Easter eggs in that title sequence. I don't want to give it away, but even Locke and Maul's ship is in it. So it's really, I appreciate the updates. I appreciate the Easter eggs, and I appreciate the mysteries that get unwrapped as the season delivers and we understand what the symbology is.
I feel like at the end of the season, we should play the title sequence and just point out all of the Easter eggs and references they're making in it. Because 100%, Dayla, 100.
I love a floating nacelle.
I love the dirt bikes, or I thought they were super fun. I thought they were really fun.
For sure.
Well, it's always fun to have our intrepid crew people like have to mess around with the planets, the climate and what's going on, and having to dig around. And I mean, I am a little tired of sand. I'm a little tired of sand, just in general on movies. So I was glad to see that there was a bit of a change in episode 2, that we saw some
sand
a
planet,
green planet,
a jungle planet.
Yeah, episode 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is season 1 of Discovery. Burnham and Georgiou are on a sand planet when we meet them. So this is the second kind of opener in that way. And then every single every single episode 1 of every single season of Discovery, check it. Michael Burnham always ends up in space by herself, floating, flying, attaching to a thing. Every single season. She does. So I appreciate it that they gave it to us. She basically jet skied on top of Mock and
it's why they had to start it's why they had to start the episode with her on a ship just being like, this is who I am. I was like, that is who you are. That is who you are.
I also love that at the end she was like,
it's true. And like Detmer, like you can see Detmer was a little concerned. Detmer was just like, I'm glad you made it back on the ship. Oh my gosh. I love the planet, and I loved the greenery on the planet. I will admit it didn't have the same design elements as the TNG episode. So it looked a little different.
Very, very true. Well, we have 50 million other opinions, of course, about the design elements on that show, but we must move on. And that was disco design.
And here we go into our next lovely section, Rodney.
That is correct. We're going to be getting to our final Trek table questions posed to everyone. What's Dr. Kovach's deal?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas.
Welcome back with our Trek table question number 2, which is, what is Dr. Kovach's deal? What's Kovach's deal? He seems real shady. Like, what's up with him? Is he a secret alien? Is he a traveler? Is he undercover cute? What's going on with him? I would love to. I don't have any answers myself. I don't have any answers. All I know is that I got suspicions. I've been suspicious of this character since he was introduced, and I'm still suspicious, apparently. What do y'all think?
I think that he's just a guy that knows a lot of stuff because somebody has to. Somebody has to know all this stuff. I don't think that Kovach isn't Section 31. he is a Starfleet intelligence, which is
Okay.
different, which is
Okay.
different.
Mm.
Yeah.
He's
Like
Starfleet.
Rafi.
So
Yeah.
like so he works with Section 31. He works, and so he knows things about alternate
So you think
universes and
there's
history and
so
things
you
like
think
that.
there's a Section 31 in this future Star Trek? You don't think they
Um,
got rid of it?
Unless they decided to abolish Section 31 of the Federation Charter, which they should. It
Well,
gives the Federation permission to break the
Mhm.
law. That's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Well, I'm curious, now that we're talking about Section 31, if when we get the Michelle Yeoh Section 31 movie, what that will tell us. I mean, obviously we don't get a whole series, but we're at least going to get to see that fleshed out a little bit more. I can hop in here. I definitely feel like Kovich is in some kind of frontward facing version of Section 31. I just feel like he's the admin guy who's been around a long time and really smart, and putting that together with Rayner and just thinking about he's been on 8 red directives and he led 4, he says in the episode. So, or maybe he says in the episode 2, but so it just makes me think about, yeah, what's the structure? And then Kovich is just like generational panic around this issue. Like, I am the descendant of the people who've been worried about this for 800 years. Like, relax. So just thinking about Star Federation as, just the cultural way in which we pass down information, and like, Discovery is always inviting us to explore imperialism and supremacy culture, and like I feel like, from the minute Discovery started, where we hear what's his name speaking in Klingon and talking about how not to trust the Federation, I feel like Discovery has positioned itself as like, we want to be a part of this universe, and we want to be able to also lovingly call in the things that our shows don't, that we haven't yet always fully delivered upon the promise of what Gene Roddenberry said this was about. So
Come on, Dayla. This is why
Just
I
like-
ask silly Star Trek questions. Because I was like, what's Kovich's deal? It's not a great question, but I always get the most amazing answers. I don't know what y'all said in the chat, but I'm going to look at the replay so I can see the chat because I want to know what y'all had to say. And that brings us to a close for Trek Table question number 2.
Woohoo. And now we're going to go to our next segment. Rodney, that's to you. All right. So welcome. We have reached this part of the Trek table for our friends assembled in the chat who may not have ever been on this journey with us. Welcome. You all are doing great. Lots of amazing things going on in this chat. People reacting to these questions. Thematics is the part of the show where we try to kind of braid together these conversations and think about them in these larger thematic ways. I also know Claudia and Maya Mama, you all have a hobby of connecting things to Star Wars, to Star Trek canon. Because I said I was bi-celestial. And so, well, and actually now that Callum is on the show, now we have the Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's real.
All up in this. So I like at one point I was like, wait, he should be in like a black turtleneck, right? And like some pants or something.
Really, for me, that actor's all about due south. He's a due south man. I fell in love with him, y'all. I'm gonna waste some of our precious Star Trek time to let you know. Callum Keith Renee was in 2 significant things in my life. One was a TV show where he played a Chicago cop who works with a Canadian Mountie, and he wasn't the original cop. He was recast. So he joined later in the season. It made no sense, but I loved his work. I thought he was brilliant, and I decided this actor, I'm going to learn his name and follow his career. And that's what I did. And so then I saw him in lots of things. He's in a lot of stuff. He was in Battlestar Galactica, but I'm going to call him Due South from now on. That's who he is to me.
All right.
I like it.
And I invite friends in the chat. If you have a relationship context with people like Oded Fair, who plays Admiral Vance, Space Daddy, Admiral Vance. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, the Mummy. Like,
yes,
dude. Like, talk about a cultural revolution, like culture holding on to stories and passing them down, right? So, anyways, all right. So this is what thematics is, right? It offers us an opportunity, and I think like, just as we kind of embark in this journey with Geekish Network, just to say like our brand of Star Trek fandom is to like really, as you've been witnessing and as we continue to invite, is like really to honor all the different ways that people enter, and then really trying to expand and love on like, what is this term nerd? And like we nerd out about a lot of different things, and that works for us. So I love that. Now that we're getting to do this. All right. So as I nerd out about Star Trek, I've been thinking about how episode 501, it starts in Burnham's personal log where she's talking about purpose. It feels like a lot of seasons she starts out asking, what is her purpose? Like this is Burnham's constant life question. But then it really opened up and it expanded to so many people in the show. So many people in the show are seeking to understand their purpose, right? From Stamets and his little crybaby moment, like certainly love on you, baby. Like, come on, let it go. Like your daddy's right there. He's
I'm a
loving you.
luminary.
For sure.
I've only saved the universe 4 times. I won't be famous enough.
Not anymore. So yeah. And so, so I just think about like this episode, even though it's called Red Directive, and we're in the piecing together like what is this mystery this season. It feels very classic disco to me in terms of characters really trying to continue to figure out, because I think Starfleet is a life and a career of like, what is my purpose? And to hear Burnham talk about the mission is my purpose. And to see so many different missions that she's been sent on, that she sent other people on, right? So I just kind of would like to open it up and like have us talk a little bit about thematically, like we're also seeing restorative justice in action. Book has not been punished and sent away to prison, although he makes jokes about the clink and other things like that. We're really trying to see a federation that is trying to, we hear Laura Rillick's name dropped a lot, President Rillick. So there's just a lot of callbacks to like all of this restorative justice practice that Discovery has been building in, all of these also different inquiries. So yeah, my opening shot around thematics is just the connection of people, their purpose, and if you really are on a journey with someone, you believe in giving them a second chance because mistakes actually are part of your growth, right? So that's just kind of some of my of like what I've been thinking about as I process these episodes. Claudia, I want to invite you to think of, to kind of jump in here.
I'm going to jump on that because I love what you're talking about because it feels like oftentimes in a traditional TV show or movie, you get a bad guy. And then the bad guy is responsible for the bad things happening. One of the things I like about disco is that generally when bad things happen, they are because of existential threats. They aren't about one person doing bad stuff. And actually, I'm gonna say that each season does have 1 or 2 people making bad choices and making the problem worse. But the problem already existed, and it's all about restorative justice. And what's the first time we meet Michael? Michael makes a choice that gets her into a situation where she has to do a justice system. She has to go through a justice system. And that was her journey with Saru. Saru was like, you're a criminal. I don't know if I want to even have you on my And so now we get to see what happens when we don't let each other go. What happens when we keep going? We're introduced to 2 criminals at the top of the season, and they've got a vibe a lot like Book and Michael. They love each other. They're cute together, and they're dangerous AF. They've almost murdered people like 3 times, and we've only had 2 episodes so far. So I'm here for it, though. I love them. But I'm also interested in, Star Trek 5. I think it was Star Trek 5, the one where it's like they were like, we're gonna hang out with Spock's older brother and meet God. That one was we're going to explore the real undiscovered country. Like, what is the universe? And that's what they're doing in this. At least I feel like that's the journey of this season too. It's not just what is my personal purpose as like a teacher with Tilly. It's what's our origins as a species, as a universe? Yeah.
It's identity. But not just your own personal identity as an individual, but as a group, as a species, as members of, and this grows on to more of like members of the same universe from the end of season 4. When Book is talking to the 10C about how like we are all one, we all live here, we all have to work together. We see I liked seeing family being more present within the Federation, seeing Vance having to learn math to help his daughter. Probably doing Common Core still even.
Did you see how he like
Thousand
stacked up?
years.
He stacked up the flashcards he had in his like little loungy room, and then he went back to like his desk, and he like had even more.
Because he's got to learn it so that he can help her. I mean,
Yes.
I've been there.
Mhm.
That is not I liked Rainer and I knew what he was like the second that I saw him. Um I I don't think that they were trying to hide it from
Mhm.
your more like nuanced watchers. We were like, oh, thank you. No, this is where our new person is going to be on the
Mhm.
ship and we know what's going to happen. I do have to often we have to remember that like a first officer can be any rank.
Yep.
Tilly was an ensign. Unachin Riley is a lieutenant commander. So that is, and also just Kellerans.
Yeah.
This is
Can
the
you
second
tell?
time we've seen
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, can you tell for Star Trek newbies and folks who aren't tracking? Like I asked the question, I was like, is that the
They
Navarre
were.
byproduct of Romulans and Vulcans being
Oh
together?
no, no, no. They're
Okay.
they're not related to the Vulcans. They have similar ears, but they're totally different. But no,
Okay.
they were on Deep Space Nine, and they're just like they're hardcore. Maya Mama, if I'm recalling correctly, didn't they almost murder Bashir and Miles O'Brien because they were like, we have to keep our secret, and they helped us get rid of our weapons, so
Oh.
let's just murder all of them.
So a long time ago, 2370 to be
Oh.
more exact, there was a war
Get it,
between
23/7.
Kelleran and their enemies, the Talani, and they had created a deadly chemical known as the harvester weapon. And it was bad. It was probably the worst thing that a person has ever created to hurt another person. So they destroy any traces of it, but then the Kelleran and Talanis decide they also have to kill anybody who's ever seen it and knows how to put it together. And that includes Miles O'Brien and
Bashir.
Julian Bashir until they promise that they won't tell.
I just poor Miles O'Brien trying to help people
Mhm.
out, just getting it all ways. Gosh. But those Kalurians, nothing has changed over time. The Kalurians are still really, really hardcore, it seems.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like this is
It's
how we end war. It's like
for sure. For sure. So for folks looking it's a Deep Space Nine reference, right? If folks want to go watch the Kelleran episode, they want to go look at a Deep Space Nine episode, right?
that episode is
Armageddon game?
Armageddon Game. That's
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine, season 2,
Oh,
episode 13.
was that the one where they have to like go through the holodeck game and they have to defeat all the things? No,
No, it's
that's
a
a
No, no,
different
different
no.
one.
game.
That's a different
Star
I
title.
Trek
love
be
how
loving the
I
games,
know.
though. Star Trek be loving the games, y'all.
It'd be loving Armageddon. It'd be loving the word game. I'm just gonna say this is just like a larger observation about both episodes.
Get it.
I loved episode 1 and 2. I love me some Star Trek Discovery, so I was like I was gonna be there regardless, right? It felt like both episodes had so many adventures and things happening, but also I felt like there were no stakes. I was not worried about one character or one moment. So I was enjoying it and here for the ride, but I wasn't worried about anyone. So I didn't mind that I got like a long jungle goodbye with Saru. I was like, hi. You were? You
I
were concerned?
was for
Did you think
justice.
Saru was going to get a sad
Well,
ending?
I'm 3 days from retirement. This is my last day at work, and then I'm gonna go home to my wife and my life, and nothing can go wrong now. So I was like, oh, why does he keep saying things like that? Why is he saying things like that?
Right. And I feel like this was in the notes. The being able to see Saru run again and use his super speed just reminded me of the episode when they were on Pavel. Was it Pavel? We used to talk about Pavel
Yep,
previous.
with the Pavo moon.
Harvo kiss.
But just reminded of the times when we've seen Saru not just be action Saru, but be a gazelle.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and running in those gaga boots, like his hoof boots, right? Like just all the glitz and glamour and speed and just agility and like beautifulness. And so as I was watching that sequence, I was just like, oh wow, I'm feeling the retroness and just even when Saru does his goodbye to Michael and we go back into his plant room and like he's naming like I did Vahara here. And so just having those moments, I did have a moment of like, wait, dude, you're not gonna take your plants? Like, what's up? Like before they explained what was going on, I was like, you're leaving a mess. Like, this is not how you check out of your on the ship. Like what?
Like, you're not taking your stuff with you? This is
I
so
know, dude.
Also,
weird.
like, ships don't have unlimited space. Like, whereas, like, is our Kalurian due south, buddy? Is he gonna have to like bunk in with the plants? Because like, it's just like, well, we really like the person who was here before, so
For
we're
sure.
keeping their stuff.
For sure. But I mean, Saru is Saru. I mean, and Saru. I mean, they're all the original disco crew who jumped, the 930. I think definitely, yeah. It feels like that is their home. I'm curious about. I guess the last thing I want to say before we transition into to episode 2, because I do want to ask a couple questions about it, is I've just been curious about, like, we hear them say they're gonna the Spore Drive project is now being shut down because the Tarka Ruan Tarka's prototype like got destroyed with Book Ship. And so just seeing the ways in which, just curious about how they're going to wind down the story of the Star Trek Discovery, I mean, of the USS Discovery crew. And, the question that you raised in your
Well,
video,
yeah, exactly. How did they get to Aldous Hodge?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's not his name.
they create the Pathfinder drive,
Mhm.
which apparently is better or easier than the Spore drive, which is why
Oh, there's a new drive.
they've decided to shelf the Spore drive technology
Oh.
because it's a pain. It's very difficult. There has to be some sort of biological person to
Yeah.
to get you through. And then
Mhm.
there's also the ecological damage that's happening within the mycelial network with people
Mhm.
traveling through it. It's
Mm.
just it's not a sustainable thing,
Way to
and that's
go.
why
Okay.
there was only ever going to be one ship. But Stamets really wanted there to be a fleet, but there was never going to be one.
Right.
But
Poor
like
guy.
in the future, there's a Star Trek short that shows Star Trek Discover, the ship in the future. And I keep saying Aldous Hodge because I don't. It's the actor who played Aldous
Yeah.
Hodge on the TV show Leverage,
Mhm.
and he plays like this.
No, that's his real
really-
name. That's the
No, that's
actor's
his
name.
real name.
That's the
Oh,
actor's
that's
name.
the actor's real name.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know the
Hardison is the
characters.
character. Hardison is
Hardison
the
is the
character.
character. That's
Aldous Hodge is
hilarious.
the real guy. Yeah.
Well, I've decided, I've memorized his real name. So that actor, he's playing like somebody on the ship and he falls in love with Zora. And then Zora sings a song and does a dance with him. And it's really sweet. But I'm like, how does Zora end up being alone? So
Mhm.
alone that she's so happy to see him. How
Mhm.
does that happen? And I go, we must find out this season.
Mhm.
Oh, that they got to send the ship away
Yeah.
again. I was just watching season 2, and I realized
Mhm.
that that Control was trying to become Zora.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, right!
Mm.
Control wanted to be Zora, but Zora was
Mhm.
able to develop on her own without
Mhm.
Control being like,
Mhm.
you know, people are bad."
Right.
I'm assuming that it's going to be either something very similar, or she's just going to be like, "I gotta go." Who
Mhm.
knows?
Mhm. Well, okay, so we're nearing the end. I know I said we were about to jump to episode 2, but Saru and Tarina, like, I know we've said it in other places, but I think I just want to name again and ring the bell of, like, just how much I think our show as a whole is here for them to have their goodness together. And just the way that, yeah, Burnham has to kind of confront, like, as they're in that final goodbye on Planet 2, in episode 2, just like, she's like, I'm really happy for you. She's trying not to, like, have her own, feels. So just, yeah.
Well, she's all jacked up about Book, right? So, like, I
Mhm.
keep accidentally skipping into season 2. I have trouble talking about the 2 episodes apart from each other because, like, they've become one gigantic episode in my brain. But
Mhm.
like, you know that she's super awkward when she's talking
That's
to
true.
Saru
Yeah.
about action Saru. She's weird about it because she's all messed up about Book.
Mhm.
I feel bad that she's not going to have Saru there to be giving her good advice and balancing her. And it's my secret wish. I know it's not going to happen, but I want Tilly to stay on the ship. I know Tilly has to probably go back and, flirt with Lieutenant Jax, but still.
My guess is she's gonna stay. She's the science officer on the adventure.
You think so? You
And
think we're
I
going to get
think,
her for all of them?
yes, because I think so, because she's in that science officer position. She's doing that thing whatever research lab they set up for this project, like they always do on a project, and just watching the mirror moments of, the Wonder Twins of Adira and Stamets, like they're having, queer fam moments. But it also reminds me of Tilly Stamets early season 1, and Adira Tilly reminds me, just like watching Tilly grow and watching Tilly blossom into, I was like, oh, now you're on the ship as a science officer. That's dope, yo. Like, of course, like you get to move in and out. So it gives her a reason to be on the ship, but we don't have to worry about what's her role on the ship, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
so I would just say that. And I'm also thinking of stuff that I forgot to say in design. Like, did y'all notice that Book didn't turn on the lights in his room? Like he was all natural light about it.
Do you think
So
he's Terran?
No, he's Quajon.
Oh,
So
good. I just want to make sure. No, I mean
dark.
from the
No,
other.
I get it. I
Because
get
they
it.
don't
I
like
get
they
it.
don't like
For
the
sure.
light.
The Terrans don't like. Yeah, okay, come on, Lorca. Wow, season 1 throwback. So okay, all right. So that was a lot of fun as we think about it. And I know, Claudia, I heard you just say like you kind of think of them together, and I just want to bring these 2 episodes together. Second chances was something that I talked about in episode 1, and so as we think about episode 2, what I thought was really interesting is we get this parallel, almost flashbacky moment between Raynor now having to be kind of on trial and Burnham being there. And I just see the way that the second chances, I was like, oh, that's really smart. Look at them, like guiding this back. Also, in the ways that, Disco likes to talk about race and gender and social justice oriented issues, I was like, Raynor is now another potential white man ally showing us showing us what it means to be in community with diverse people and listen to them, and like, just watching him and Burnham together. So I'm just curious about how that arc is going to go, and just all those moments I always just cover, like, oh, that moment when I realized, oh, Captain Pike is dope because Burnham's going to cut him off and like tell him what's what, and he's not going to lose it. He's just going to be like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm here to listen. I'm here to be on the team and not to be the supremacist who always has to be right. So, so we get this moment. We heard a lot of Rillick call out in episode 1. She finally shows up in episode 2. So that was great to see her show up. So I'm just curious, as you all kind of saw episode 2, we did have Green Planet, but we also had this little mini arc of the disciplinary hearing, Raynor, basically being sent into retirement. And then Burnham and Vance having this other new part of their relationship where now they're like bonded, right? So yeah, just kicking it back around episode 2, not just the cool, jungle planet, but also this larger arc of Burnham and her new number 1, Burnham and Raynor in this, just the all those pieces. Sorry.
Well, I loved Saru giving her advice. I think Saru knew that someone like Raynor was going to be. It's like he already knew, and he kept trying to plant that idea. Like, you need someone who will challenge you. Like, and she's like, "Oh, you mean like you do?" And he's like, "Yeah, but also other people." I love that because she's like, "Oh, like you." He's like, "No, I mean, yes, but like other people that will also do that." I found there was this weird almost jealousy that I was seeing with Book. He was feeling jealous of Locke and Maul because they were like so in sync the way that Michael and Book used to be. I do think that in a little bit of a way they're being a little silly because like they were together from the day she landed, from the day she arrived on the planet, blinking, stepped into the sun. That's the Lion King. She was with Book all the way through, all the way until he left. And this is the
he's
first
the one that
time,
left.
but this is the first time that they had ever been apart from each other. They were incredibly interdependent in a way that they never realized that they were interdependent upon each other. And so it was like losing a limb when they were separated, and then neither one of them were super good with feelings. So they were like, I know the best way to solve this. I'll ignore it and never call.
But I also get that, you know, she was, at least Michael was like, you left me. It was your job to come back and make this better. I was waiting. I was waiting for you. And apparently he was like, I was giving you your space. And it's like, yo, it doesn't work like that, you big dummy. So I like that. I like that she was classy about it. I'm Team Michael all the way. I
Agreed.
don't know if I want them to be fully coupled by the end of the show, because now that you've mentioned this, Maya, it is an interesting thing to know that, like, in her life in the future, she's never been with anybody else. She hasn't been with anybody else.
No, not true. Oh, in the future, yes.
But she's
'Cause
only ever been with two dudes in her
people-
whole life.
But also but like she lands on the planet, and the first
Mhm.
human she meets, she ends up creating a very close relationship with. So I go, oh, maybe it's healthy to be away for a little while. I don't know. What am I talking about? I hope they get back together.
I
Gosh darn
want
it.
them to get back together.
Yeah. Just to like go back to like the core question that Dela was asking. I like the idea of people working it out. I do think that
Yes.
this is, if the show is giving us the question of can we have transformative justice for the universe and for individuals inside of it, I go, yeah, maybe Michael and Book can work it out.
I also think that Book is actually still trying to make up for his mistake. He doesn't think that he's paid yet. And he doesn't realize that that's not the point, that it's not punitive, that it's restorative, that he is giving to people, he's giving back to people who were displaced by the DMA. He's trying to rebuild and help settlements and help refugees and the like. But he thinks he's still thinking of it as a punishment and not a way to give, which means he never feels like that he is forgiven. He betrayed Michael. And I don't think he himself forgives himself for doing that. I think Michael has gotten through that, but I don't think Book has.
Yeah, and I wanted to just say, like, friends in the chat agree. What's up, Rakai? Yeah, Black love lives in the future, and Rakai agrees. Like, Book is punishing himself, right? Like, Book has a lot of deep feels, and I appreciate that part of this season arc is going to help us kind of see where they land with each other. I also feel like with Book, we've been hearing since season 3 that he was going to tell us the story of his name. Like, we've been waiting to hear
Come on
about the story. Like, and I don't mean to be sad, but I'm like, finally, let's go. Like, I have been waiting. So yeah, I do think that that they are opening us up to stuff. It's funny that we, you know, as I was thinking about Book, I was like, watching Michael, I was like, yeah, she doesn't know what to do, because when she first fell in love as an adult. And, like, you know, I went back and watched season 1, episode 7, with Rainn Wilson, and you know, our favorite first kiss that everybody doesn't remember. So but it made me see baby Burnham. It made me see Burnham's journey and her second chances idea. So even as I say that, I'm like, I think she and Book have a chance, because Burnham believes in second chances. And neither of them had structured ways in order to love each other, because they had contentious experiences or challenging experiences with their families, both their born families and their found families, right? So they've always been this interesting opportunity to help each other grow. And I'm super excited for them to work it out, or at least to figure it out. And the last thing I'll say on the Cleveland Booker, the 5th, because that's who our Book is. He's the 5th. That now we get to go and meet Maul, not, and I was like, oh, maybe that's why Maul and Locke ship is in this, you know, in the season opener, in the title card sequence, because they're not the big baddies as we talked about earlier, but like, oh, we're about to see some family things happen. And so I'm just curious how much of Book's fam time we're gonna get. But because it seems plot connected, I feel like we'll get a lot more. So yeah. All right.
So far, Mark and Maul and Locke have only killed one android. As far as their body count,
Yes.
one android, and that is
Hey,
it.
and
So
maybe
they're
Fred's
still
not dead.
forgivable.
Fred might not be dead. Stamets got so
no.
much wire. He got so much wire.
Yeah. for sure. And Paul right in the chat was like, yeah, he teared up when Fred died. I saw that. Paul, I'm sorry that we didn't get to.
Got me.
Yeah. So yeah, so just all the alls. All right. Look, this has been a luxurious thematics. It has been really fun for us to kind of reconnect and to connect with y'all audience. We're so happy to have done this. Rodney, we're getting ready to go to this next segment, so I just want to name that. And I just want to say thanks to if you have ideas about what we think is going to happen this season, other themes that you saw run through these 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. We'd love to hear about it in the chat, or you can find us on Instagram and chat about it with us there. Yeah, super excited.
Yeah,
And that was
Oh,
go
wait,
ahead.
sorry, go. No, you say that.
And that I was like, let me do my out.
Yeah.
And that was thematics for our season 5, episodes 501 and 502.
And we want to give a special shout out to the Trek Table friends assembled in the chat and our live audience while we are recording this episode. You all have been amazing. And we want to say thanks to all of our friends listening on the podcast. So if you want to support us even more, hit that like and follow button.
Yes. All right.
We strive to hold space for Black, Indigenous, Brown, women of color. Here are some resources that amplify and highlight the work of women of color content creators, community builders, and world shapers.
Yes, yes. And since Trek Table is still a little bit new to the Geekish Network, I wanted to start our very first signal boost to honor our content partners, our amazing friends who are, I love that you didn't see this, our friends Claudia and Maya Mama and the broader Calling Up Justice Network. Signal Boost is about making sure that we're also, for the audiences and the people we connect to, we want to amplify and say, hey. And so we want to invite you to get to know Calling Up Justice. They are producing performances of justice online, on stage, and in real life. You can explore the pages on their website and the links on their website. You can connect, search, and find out what you need. You can visit their website at callingupjustice.com. Just one last thing about Calling Up Justice. Calling Up Justice collaborates across their practices, producing performances of justice online, as I just said. They are cultural producers, tech workers, artists, social justice activists. They publish and share content and resources on justice. They build and facilitate digital spaces for co-working and meaning making. Some of these are public video stream spaces like Twitch or TikTok, and some of them are talk spaces like on Clubhouse, and some of them are private Zooms. Disability, racial, and gender justice fuels their work. And I just want to love so much on Calling Up Justice for the amazing work that you've been doing, and really the innovative ways in which you really try to engage all of our communities in creating content, all of our communities in creating change and amplifying what people are really trying to do to make the world a better place. And that's what Signal Boost is about. So just love to y'all, deep gratitude for Trek Table would not be back if not for Maya Mama and Claudia and Calling Up Justice. I'll just say, if Geekish Network is one part of the table, the legs of a table, Calling Up Justice is the other. So I really wanted to say thank you. Invite folks to learn more, and obviously come back every week, hear us on the show, learn more about them. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And if you know a woman of color content creator, community builder, or world shaper that we should amplify, drop it in the chat or reach out to us on Instagram at Trek Table.
Rodney, take us to the next. All right, as is the case at the end of every episode, we try to round things out with final thoughts. We had a lot of different kinds of loving, fun thoughts this episode. And so I want to invite us to close it out. Friends in the chat, go ahead and drop in. What are your final thoughts of this conversation about episodes 501 and 502? And here at the Trek Table, I'm going to start with Claudia and want to ask you, what are your final thoughts as we exit this conversation and think about this premiere duet of episodes?
My final thoughts on Star Trek Discovery episode 501 and 502 is that they need to stop spending so much money on the special effects so I can have more episodes. Where's my 22 episodes, showrunners? Get entire ships crashing into planets, awesome dirt bike. What? I feel like I got to see an entire movie, and that was amazing. I got to see so many amazing planets, but like, give me give me less good special effects and more episodes, please. That is my request for all the Star Treks, but this one especially. And that is my final thought for this week's disco.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I want to invite us all to breathe that in. Wow. Yeah. More episodes. And this is a common thing you have said in previous seasons. Love it. Maya Mama, I want to thank you so much for all your insight, for helping me hype it last week, getting us going. And then honestly, all credit, like our access to the show, screeners and things like that were because of your initiative. So I just want to say thank you. As folks will join us in the coming weeks, you'll also have an opportunity to see more images from the show. We just didn't get them in today. But Maya Mama, so thank you. And
Oh,
then to say final thoughts from you. Like
yeah. Olatunde Osunsanmi, the director of this, also directed like the last two episodes of Discovery season 2, which is also he's real good at like the big rah things. I really love that. Also, Tarina is thirsty for some Saru punch. I mean, the way that she's so playful, and especially for a Vulcan, that she's passionately in love with Saru. For a Vulcan, she is ridiculous. And I just love it, and I'm living for it, and I can't wait. I know we're gonna get that wedding. If we don't get that wedding, then I'm gonna have some words to say. Maya Mama wants her wedding.
all right, let's breathe that in, everybody. And exhale. Yes, I want to say, Paul in the chat is saying, I do not want to see it end. Yeah, not, I'm still bitter. I mean, as part of my final thought, I'm still bitter. Like, why are we only getting five seasons? We were told we were going to get 7. I also feel like I appreciate that it feels like there's a little bit more effort to respect disco, but I still feel like, come on, dude, you've gotten 2 spin-offs already out of this show. Why? And we've had guests like what's his name, Malfoy, Jason Isaacs, we've had Michelle Yeoh, we've had Rainn Wilson, we've had all these amazing guests. And so it just makes me so sad that we're not able to finish the journey and the potential of this journey because they tried a new format and we're doing a serialized storytelling instead of a, episode of the week. And so I'm so happy that we as Trek Table here at the Geekish Network can gather and talk about Star Trek Discovery while it's still breathing and living. And I know, being a Star Trek fan, like if we can help engage other fans, like I'm excited about the future potential of either more seasons or the movies that we deserve as well. Because I do think that this crew, I was watching some of the promo stuff they did, and Will Wheaton's asking Sonequa Martin Green about the diversity, and she answered so eloquently, but it just made me think about diversity is not an extra on the show, it's embedded into the show. And Discovery shows us the power of people of difference coming together to find commonality and to really work across conflict and to work across challenge and to work across access. And that we can in the future be led by a strong Black woman who can help us solve problems and find more empathy. And just her whole struggle as a character is something that resonates. My last final thought as I ramble on is this. I hope on this season we get to see all the greatest hits. We're about to go to Trill. I'm waiting to catch up with Mama Gabrielle and the Quat Mulat. And just what about all of our friends in the future? So, we're going to see Sukal at some point, right? So just curious about all of that and so excited about Star Trek Discovery Season 5. And those were our final thoughts for Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 501, Red Directive, and 502, Under the Twin Moons. Rodney, take us to that next section. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us at this episode 48 of the Trek Table. You can get first look at the Trek Table questions, inside scoops, and more when you sign up for our mailing list at trektable.com.
Trek Table graphics provided by our original graphics partner, Arthur Wong, and our new partner, Digital Click.
Mm-hmm.
Find Trek Table podcasts on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Join us next Friday, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, here at Geekish Network.
Yes, yes. And you can like and subscribe to this channel, the Geekish Network, or our home channel, the Trek Table YouTube channel, so that you get more Trek Table in your algorithms.
Like and subscribe to us on Instagram at Trek Table.
And finally, we want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to our Trek Table Assembled for holding it down and helping us with this ritual. Thank you so much to Maya Mama, Maya Mills Lowe, and thank you so much to Claudia Alec. I just want to thank you both so much for sharing your insights, your thoughts, and it's just your multi-generational Trek knowledge all the time with us. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who's joined us in the chat. The Trek Table executive producer is myself, Allison Delacruz, and we've partnered with the Geekish Network. We want to say thanks to Rodney Cahuto and Chuck Babs. And thanks to Rodney. Can everybody give Rodney some love? He's been our technical director today. Oh,
Thank you to Rodney.
Yes, yes. It got so nice. Got to say it twice.
And thanks to Dr. Deborah Carter, Doc Zulu, and Nancy Yap, and our partners at Visual Communications.
And again, just deepest gratitude to our co-hosts, Maya Mama and Claudia. We also want to share a big thank you, as we said, to our content partners at Calling Up Justice.
Trek Table is a service mark of Dela Projects, LLC.
Thanks so much for joining us at the Trek Table. Let's go ahead and close out this ritual for today. As we get ready to see our final end transmission. But before we go, we just want to invite you to do this closing breath with us. Go ahead. Take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We'll be holding Trek Space for you till next Friday. See you then. That's excellent. Excellent. Wow. Hi, everybody. Not everybody knows each other, so I'm super excited that this is a beautiful room of folks.
Okay.
Yeah. Just saying that.
Okay. First of all, I'm Chuck. For Claudia, I haven't met you yet. Thank you for being a part of Trek Table. Thank you for joining the Geekish Network as well. I would like for you to tell us about yourself, because I really want to embed this podcast into our network. You know, people are really loving it, and I want people to know who you all are.
Well, I am a cultural producer, a national leader, and a Star Trek lover. And I blame Dela for all of my recently produced Star Trek content. I blame you. Thank you. Thank you, Dela. Thank you, Trek Table. It's just gorgeous to have a space to, because I gotta be real, I have too much scar tissue about trying to talk about Star Trek in spaces that are white dominant, that aren't friendly to the kind of conversations I want to have. So I love the Trek Table space, and just thanks to Geekish Network for having us. It's so nice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna introduce my co-host. So we have a new show we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's probably gonna pick up eventually to every day of the week. Uh, that is, I'm gonna start off with the original OG from the show. They helped me launch the show. They helped me conjure up the idea. That's Centel. Say what's up to the
Hey,
people, Centel. Tell them
hey,
about
what's
you.
going on,
Let them
everybody?
know. Let them know where they can find you at Centel.
Oh, hey, yeah, y'all can find me on YouTube in the YouTube space at YouTube.com/Centel. I do a bunch of reaction for Black pop culture and just pop culture in general. I also have an international channel called Cinema Mosaic, and that is at YouTube.com/Cinema Mosaic, where if you want to see stuff, everything from South Korean content to Indian, across the pond, and everything in between. So thank you for the shout out. Love being here, and I'm always excited to see new talent, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Yes. And then I want to introduce Randy. Randy's the second co-host to come onto the show. Centel started doing his own thing. Randy came onto the show as backup, and I made him a permanent host.
He kind of did, right? He was just like, "Can you fill in? I'm looking for somebody." Then it was like, "Can you fill in the next day?" Then before I knew it, I was just a permanent host. But I've loved the experience. Hey, everybody, it's great to meet you. I met Claudia and Dayla's a part of the crew, and I'm the showrunner for our show here on the Binge-Worthy Net on the Geeks Network called Binge-Worthy. Well, every week we binge watch an entire season to let you know if you should. That's right. I saw Claudia saying, "What? Last year we did what?
Yeah.
38 shows or something
39
like
shows.
that?
39
39
shows.
shows. 39
That's a lot of
shows
TV.
every single week. Anywhere
Yeah.
from 8 to what? About 20 episodes for depending on the length of the time. So we did
Yeah.
it. Dayla's done the show several times. She's in our chat. She keeps up in with all the flavor of us. And again, to echo Chuck's sentiments. Welcome to the Geekish Network. And I've watched the first 2 episodes and I've enjoyed them immensely. I also am a Star Trek fan. I wouldn't say I'm a Trekkie because the level of granularity that some Trekkies have, I'm just not.
Such as you all.
I'm just not there. I'm a super fan, but that granularity sometimes I'm like, well, I don't know Data's birthday. I don't know all of those things, right? I don't know the exact Star Trek system in episode 13 that they were in, but I am a fan. I'm a fan of all things Star Trek, and kind of like my guy Rakai, he'll probably jump in here soon. I'm a Star
Yeah.
Wars fan too, so I am. I think you said a word earlier,
Celestial.
Celestial. So I too
I
fall
love it.
into that category.
I love it. Everybody's pulling out all the SAT words right now. Bi-celestial, granularity.
No,
This shit up.
all the multi-syllable
Non-hierarchical.
words.
I'm non-hierarchical omni sci-fi, which means like I love all of it, and none of it is better than
Omni-hierarchical.
the rest.
I'm with you. That's the best way to say it.
Listen,
I
what
was
she
gonna say
said, that just made my heart
polycelestial.
palpitate. Oh,
I was
Lord.
gonna say polycelestial, but
Poly-
you know,
I didn't know if
Celestial,
we were all
yes.
allowed to say that. I was like, hold up.
I was
Now,
gonna
I
say
don't want to get flagged.
polycelestial.
That's so brilliant.
We don't want to get flagged by YouTube, so I
That is
refrain
so-
from
They're
that
not
one.
gonna flag us.
Does
on
that mean
that.
you're in the
They call it-
Stargate too? Star
Yeah,
Trek, Star Wars, and Stargate?
Yep,
Yeah.
polycelestial.
But also
Yeah.
maybe
And Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar
Battlestar,
Galactica.
now we talking. Yeah.
For sure.
And,
For sure.
and I'm gonna introduce the last host. He's the newest member actually to the Geekish Network, and that's Rakai. He's a brother from another. I grew up with this guy as well. So say what's up to the Rakai, and you can tell everybody you're a Star Wars fan that just jumped into Star Trek. So it's new to
Okay.
him.
It's new, but it's not new. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Rakai Steed, also known as Noob from the Ville. I kind of fell into being a host as well. I got a call to fill in, I think, on Binge-Worthy, and then I got another call, and I've been around ever since. So I get calls to fill in on Binge-Worthy and on Geek Beast, and so it's fantastic. And yes, I was one of those snobbists for a long time where I was only Star Wars, and then I fell into the Simon Pegg Star Wars movies, and I really liked those. And then I
Star
got into
Trek.
the TV shows, and I was like, damn, I've been missing out. This shit is pretty good. And I was like, who told me to only like one? Like, I can like Coke and Pepsi. The hell with them. So
and
yeah. So
Fanta.
and Fanta and Sprite
Yes.
That's
and
Yes.
Farscape.
grape, whatever
Mhm.
Hold
whatever
on.
comes
Hold
with
on.
Farscape.
grape.
Hold on. I'm
Oh
broke.
man, I love Farscape.
I'm broke. I even do the RC Cola. So yeah, I
Yes.
watched
Mhm.
I love RC Cola, man.
yeah,
Come on
so
with it.
yeah, so yeah, Farscape, what else?
Lex.
Firefly, like yeah,
Firefly.
I
Mhm.
take it all the way back to Buck
Yeah.
Rogers and
Mhm.
Buckaroo Banzai, and yeah,
Mhm.
sci-fi is my jam, always has been. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I love being here, and I love and as a matter of fact, two fantastic episodes, De La and crew. You ladies killed it. Last week was really good. I'm current, so I watched both episodes actually this morning, and I
Mhm.
had a great time. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well,
Yes,
I'll
they.
catch up. I'll catch
Mhm.
up.
You'll get there, dude. You're gonna get there for sure. For sure. And then don't worry, you can go back and like rewatch old Trek Table episodes, and then it'll be
Yes.
like, oh, for sure,
Yes.
And
I
we still haven't done season 3. Trek Table still hasn't recorded because that was our coming. That was
okay.
our sample, like private. I mean, I have Trek Table season where we talk about Disco season 3, but it was our emerging year, right? As
Mhm.
Geekish was being born and
Mhm.
becoming. So yeah, Trek Table actually hasn't talked about season 3. So we've done
Oh.
a like season recap, like as a
Mhm.
whole, like a binge worthy kind of episode,
Mhm.
but not the individual episodes. So
Yeah. I probably need to catch up because we may have Star Trek Discovery season 5 as a binge-worthy
Binge
show.
worthy.
It's on the list.
oh
And
It's
my
on the
gosh.
list.
we would
So
love
yeah,
to
you
invite
might
you
want to do
all
that.
on. Yeah, we may want to invite you all on to the show to
Mhm.
talk about it as a
Mhm.
season wrap.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
Hey, quick question. And I
Mhm.
guess it's not quick since we got a bunch of Star Trek fans here. Top 2 Star Trek captains.
Mhm.
Ooh.
I love
Top
how both
2.
Maya and I leaned back. Did you see how we both were like, Now, this is why I got to explain this to you. So for fun, Maya and I, once a week, we do something we call Trek Talk, where we go on, we got a Twitch channel, Calling Up Justice, and Maya sets up the most intense, amazing, original, like Star Trek rank things, where we get to rank Star Trek things, and we rank all of them. Every single Star Trek that's ever been. So what you asked was a really big question. There's a lot of answers. I'm going to say that my answers are that one black lady captain that was in TNG. There was an episode where they're like, this girl, she became the first black captain ever. We didn't really get to see much of her. She got invaded by some aliens and became a bad guy. But I think she's one of the best captains that there ever was. She's one of my favorites. I don't remember her name, but that
Madge
black lady
Sinclair
was in.
played her. Madge Sinclair played her.
No. That's a
Oh.
different black lady captain. Madge
Hmm.
Sinclair played the black lady captain that got blowed up in Star Trek 4. And that's going to be my second answer. Those are the two favorite captains, both
Okay.
black women. We didn't see a lot of them.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm going to
Was that
say
question
Michael.
for everyone? Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
going to say
Yeah,
Michael
everybody.
Burnham and right now Janeway. And that's only because if you need to get a job done, you need Michael Burnham and Captain Janeway
That's
because
real.
they will get a job done. And like it might not like you might not feel great at the end, but it will be done.
Mm.
I'll
Um,
jump in real quick. Oh,
go,
no,
go,
go ahead,
go,
Dale.
no, go, Randy.
Okay, I was gonna jump in here real quick. My first one is Captain Picard. He's my favorite. Michael Burnham is second, with Pike coming up real fast as we proceed through Strange New Worlds.
See, I
Mhm.
think for me, I think my favorite is Pike, and I think second is Cisco.
Mm,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, even though I do like Janeway, and I absolutely, you need something done, Janeway's gonna get it done, and you might not like how it got done, but it's gonna get done. And
Just don't ask questions.
I want to throw Burnham in there because Burnham has the same thing, but Burnham's gonna go off and do this shit by herself.
Mm.
She gonna try to, she gonna try to do it by
Yeah.
herself, and then need the crew to help her, but she need to pull back a little bit. I think she's at the point now where she's all inclusive. Like she had to learn like Kobe, you know what I'm saying? Kobe's like, I'm gonna do it by myself. And now she'd be like, oh no, I need the squad. So
Mhm. I would quickly go and say Michael Burnham, of course, always number one. And then Pike was on my list, but honestly, Carol Freeman, Captain Carol Freeman of the USS Cerritos. Like, come
Yes.
on,
That's
come on,
what I was
Captain
gonna
Freeman.
say.
Ooh,
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yes.
I
Chuck
mean,
Thank you.
Centel.
Oh, shoot. So I didn't really start jumping all in. I was like in high school when Next Gen came out, Next Generation. So Jean-Luc, man, you always remember your first. So I will always have a soft spot in my heart for him. And then of course, you know, the new age, I got to go with Michael Burnham just because, you know, I like her, you know, forget it, I'll do it myself attitude because I vibe with that. I get that. So yeah, those are my two top.
Again, I'm gonna say Carol Freeman, and she's my second favorite, and Philippa Giorgio. That's my favorite. I don't know how any of y'all missed that
I don't know
one.
how I missed it.
That's
Short
because I
story,
think of her
when
as the
she-
emperor.
When she left
Yes.
in like season 3, I had to stop watching it for like a month because I was just so tore up. I was like, I can't revisit it without her.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Even
Yeah.
that first episode when they were walking around the sand and just talking, I was like, that's a captain I want to follow right there.
So is it Captain or is it Emperor?
Emperors, it can be both.
It doesn't matter.
Both things
It
can
matters
be true.
matter.
a little bit.
Doesn't matter.
Both
Just
things
know that
can
she
be
ran it.
true.
Yeah.
I was like, now I think of that last episode of I love you, Philippa, as Philippa. I see you, she says. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun question. I love it.
Mm.
I
Wow.
have to watch that episode again.
The
It's
first
I'm
such a
one?
gonna
good
watch all the episodes. No. Well, yes, but also I want to watch that episode with her and Carl when the door. I mean, the Guardian of Forever. The
Mhm.
The
Guardian of Forever.
Guardian of
Mhm.
Forever.
That was such a good question.
Thanks, y'all. It's been so awesome to hang out post show and do this crosstalk. It was great to see everybody meet. This is like my worlds combining. So I just super awesome. And it's happy. Are you guys doing happy hour tonight? I
We're
know
doing
gonna
happy
push you
hour
a little bit
tonight.
We're doing
later.
happy
We're doing
hour.
happy hour right now, so it'll be a little bit of news and a lot of just talking opinions.
We love talking
Yeah, we
opinions.
just drinking and talking ish.
Yes.
It's gonna go off the rails too.
It's probably gonna go off the rails. I brought in the
And
whole
there-
crew,
and-
so y'all get
and there
y'all
might
drink
even-
ladies and come
Yeah,
in.
there might even be some tech stuff in there. Who knows?
There may be some geek stuff. We may talk about Star Trek in this. Who knows?
Who knows?
I haven't even
Get
looked
it.
at the news today, so I don't
See?
know. what we
Now
have
that
on the-
already lets
I-
me know.
so
I
That
did.
already
How
lets
I
me
do.
know.
Y'all
I
know
went out
how
of my
I
way to
do.
make sure I didn't look at the news today.
Yeah.
I did, and the first one is so damn silly. I was like, "Is this? Is this still Geek Beast?" What?
Mm.
Yeah. So please join
Awesome.
in us in the chat because we do
sure.
respond to chat too.
Mhm.
We do
Okay.
respond to chat. So
Looking
definitely join
forward.
in.
All right. Have a great show, y'all.
Thank you. See you all.
See ya.